new version of Packed Data Manager add-on for Blender has just been released, and in this video, I'd like to walk you through some of the new features and changes in this update. So let's dive right in and take a look. First, I'd like to talk about changes made to multi-select mode. You can find multi-select mode here. If you hover over the icon, you'll notice that the label now says Custom Select. It is so because it has been renamed from multi-select to custom select, mainly to avoid confusion with the other change that has been made in this update. If you haven't used the custom select mode before, let me introduce this quickly to you. Custom select mode allows you to create a custom selection of items that you want to perform some kind of operation on. For example, if I wanted to do something to Suzanne Yellow and Suzanne Brown, I would enter custom select mode, then deselect all objects and select those objects that I want to perform some kind of operation on. So in my case, it's Suzanne Yellow and Suzanne Brown. Then I can go to Operation menu and select whatever I want to do to them. I'll just delete them. So that's custom select mode, previously known as multi-select. While we're on the topic of custom select, let's talk about this button here. This button will toggle custom select mode for all lists. We're currently in global mode, so we have only one list. If we switch to custom mode, now we have 3 lists. So if we wanted to toggle custom select mode for all of them, in previous versions of Packed Data Manager, we would have to manually go and do it for each and every one of these lists. In this update, you can effortlessly toggle custom select mode by clicking one button. The next change affects how list items are selected in the list. In previous versions of Blender, if I were to execute an operation now, all 4 items would be affected. In this update, by default, only the selected item that is highlighted in the list would be affected. So if I'm going to go and execute the hide in viewport operation, only the Suzanne Brown will be hidden. Now let me undo this. And what if you wanted to hide all of these objects? You have 2 options. You can either toggle multi-select mode, so that all of these items are selected, and then execute the operation. Or you can revert to the previous behavior by going to Preferences, and then changing the list item selection mode from single select to multi-select. This will bring the old behavior back, and now if I execute the hide in viewport operation, all 4 objects would be hidden. There's also an indicator in the list telling you how many items are selected and ready to be affected by an operator. In multi-select, it's 4 out of 4, and if I select single select, it's 1 out of 4. If I switch to custom select mode and then deselect one, you'll see that this indicator is reduced to 3 out of 4. If I deselect another one, it's now 2 out of 4. Please don't confuse this multi-select selection mode with this custom select toggle. These are 2 separate functions. Next up, I'd like to talk about some quality of life features. In previous versions of Packed Data Manager, if you wanted to perform an operation, you would have to go to the Operation menu and then visually scan all the options in the menu to find what you're looking for. Now, there are a lot of options here, and some of them are nested. For example, visibility, show in, disable in viewports. You have to navigate several menus until you find what you're looking for. Now, if you know Blender, you can easily find this because this hierarchy of menu follows closely to what is available in native Blender panels. For example, if we select an object and go to the Object Properties panel, expand the Viewport Display section, we can find the Display As property here. To find the same property in the Operation menu in Packed Data Manager, you follow the same exact path there. So we open the menu, go to Viewport Display, and we can find the Display As property here. But in this update, there is a new way to find an operation you want that can be a lot quicker. You may notice in this menu a new entry, this search option at the top of the menu. Now, you don't have to navigate manually across the list, searching for what you want to find. You can click on the search and search the operations by name. So if we wanted to find Display As, we can simply type Display As, and there we have it. Additionally, you not necessarily have to click on the search. As soon as you expand the menu, you can start typing right away and search for whatever you want to do. Is it rename? Or maybe You can actually scroll through the list as well and inspect what's available this way. This search functionality also is extended to add filter menu. You can do the same to add a filter. So let's search for hidden in viewport filter and add it. This filter lets us see all objects in the scene, because we're in global selection mode, that are hidden in all viewports. Let me disable this filter for now. If we right-click on any item in the list again, let's take a look at these three options right here. These are the same options you can find when you're in custom select mode here. You can either deselect, invert selection, or select all items in the list. These options in the context menu act as shortcuts, as well also activating the custom select mode. So we'll see that we are now not inside the custom select mode. And if we right click and choose one of these options, for example, deselect all, what it will do is enable custom select mode and disable all items in the list. So clicking, right mouse clicking and choosing deselect all is the same as manually toggling custom select mode and then hitting deselect all. This just makes it a lot easier and quicker to work with. Let's talk about a new operation that was added in this update. Now, sometimes we may have an object and this object may have one or more materials. In this case, I have this yellow monkey and it has quite a few materials assigned. And sometimes we may want one or more materials to have a name that is the same as the object or a mesh that this material belongs to. So in this update, there is an operation to do just that. To demonstrate this, I'm going to switch the data type to material and then switch the add-on to selected mode so we can isolate only those materials that belong to the selected monkey. I'm going to pick the hair yellow material, right-click on it, go down to copy name from object or object data, click on this. I'm going to be presented with three options here. For now, I'm going to choose object and hit OK. Now we see that this material was renamed to have the same name as the object. Now let's talk quickly about those three options that you saw previously. If I undo and execute the operation again, we can either copy the object's name, so it would be Suzanne Yellow as we've seen. We can copy the object's data name, so that would be Suzanne.003, or we can copy the name from the link source. This link source refers to either an object or its data, whatever the material slot that has this material is linked to. This link source option reads the value of this option here. So the material slot holding here yellow material is currently assigned to the data, and I have the option to assign it to the object. There have been some changes made to the delete operation. Let's talk about that now. In Blender, you may be familiar with an operator called Purge Unused Data. You can find it by going to File, Cleanup, and Purge Unused Data. This operator will delete all data blocks that have 0 users. In our current file, we have none of those, so let's create one. I'm going to delete this Suzanne rig item that is hidden. So I'm going to deselect all items in the list and select the Suzanne rig. Alternatively, I could just type here rig to isolate the rig item and hit delete. I'm not going to purge the data here. I'm going to hit OK just to delete it so that we have some unused data in our file. I'm going to switch the outliner display mode to unused data so we can observe that. Now we have one action that was associated with the armature that we deleted. So it now has 0 users and is unused data. And the armature is also unused data because we deleted the object that had this armature. So now if I'm going to go to File, Cleanup, and Purge Unused Data, we're going to see that this operator will remove one armature and one action from our file. I'm going to hit delete, and we can observe that that data did indeed was deleted. Now let's go back to Packed Data Manager. I'm going to clear the name filter here. I'm going to select all items, go to the operation menu and hit delete. Now we have an option to delete the items with or without purge unused data option here. First, let's try deleting without purge unused data. When we do that, we can see that there are some more unused data now. We've got some meshes that were not previously here. So let me undo the delete operation and delete it again. But this time, we're going to tick this purge unused data option here. Keep an eye on the outliner to see what happens here. I'm going to hit OK. And when we deleted the objects, Pack Data Manager automatically deleted all data that was associated with it. So those meshes do not appear here. And notice another thing. Unused data that was already present and was not associated in any way with the objects that we deleted was left intact. So when using Pack Data Manager's delete operation, you can be safe in the knowledge that no other data other than you are deleting will be affected by the delete operation. There's also been an update to delete collection operation, so let's take a look at that next. I'm going to switch the data type to collection this time and opt to delete the ascended collection. I'm going to go to the operation menu and hit delete. Here's the new option called delete objects. If we delete the collection with this option toggled off, the objects inside the collection will not be deleted. So the Suzanne yellow here, once the ascended collection is deleted, will appear in the monkeys collection. Now, if I delete this collection and check the delete objects toggle, Suzanne yellow object will be deleted together with the collection. Another change was made to filters that compare floating point values. To demonstrate that, I'm going to change the data type to object. And let's add a scale filter. Now here you can, for example, check if any objects have scale that is not equal to 111. So you can fix those objects that have non-uniform scale. And at the bottom, you can see the epsilon value. If you don't know what it means, you can ignore it. It's not usually helpful when working with regular number values in Blender. But this is a change from how it previously was in previous Pack Data Manager versions. Previously, this epsilon value was split into two values, relative and absolute tolerances. If you need even more control than the single epsilon value, you can get those absolute and relative tolerance values back by toggling this advanced tolerance mode. In this update, some restrictions have been lifted off of some filters with regard to where you could use them. For example, you could use this hide in viewport filter only when you were in custom mode. Now you can use it in any of these three modes. Scene restriction has been lifted from similar filters from the collection data type. These filters include hide in viewport and excluded from view layer. Previously, you could only use these filters inside the custom mode, and now you can use them in any of these three modes. And that wraps up the new features and changes in this update. I'd love to know what you think. Maybe you have any suggestions or observations. Or maybe there is a feature you'd like to see in the future versions of Pack Data Manager. Please let me know in the comments. If you haven't already purchased the add-on and wish to do so, please follow the links in the description. Thank you for watching.